there, school family. How you doing today? That's wonderful. I'm so glad you're here. I'm here to read Little Red Riding Hood, and I have a red cape somewhere, but I forgot it. I'm wearing my Bumblebee outfit today because we were filming the video about the Bumblebee song. I'm so glad you could be here with me. I've made that joke 2 times in a row, so that's good. Little Red Riding Hood. Have you ever heard this story? Yeah? Well, there's a character in this story, and they were in another story we read. Do you see anybody familiar on this cover? I see a wolf. I see the big bad wolf. Do you remember what other story he was in? That's right, the 3 little pigs. So the big bad wolf's back in this book. He must just live in the forest, and he didn't get those pigs. So I guess now he has a new target, and that means someone he's looking to eat. Little Red Riding Hood. Now we've read lots of different versions of this book. When we read it in class, there was like a baby Red Riding Hood and a little truck Red Riding Hood, but I have the classic version, Little Red Riding Hood, illustrated by, ooh, that's a fun name, Dubravka. Wow, I really like that name. So that person drew the pictures, and it doesn't tell me the author, probably because this is a fairy tale, and in a fairy tale, a lot of people know the story, and we don't really know who invented the words. We just know that people like to retell it. Retell it means like telling the story over and over. Now this book is a little bit old, so it's falling apart a little bit. I need to tape it or maybe get a new one. I'll try to be careful with it, but if you see me drop some of it, just wish me well, but I still love it. So do you remember how all of our fairy tales have started this week? Once upon a time, there was a little girl, and she lived with her mommy in a cottage at the edge of a big forest. A cottage is like a small little house. Whenever the little girl went outside to play, she wore a beautiful red cloak that her grandma had made for her. A cloak is kind of like a coat. You see how it has a hood, your arms go in, and then it just kind of hangs down. It doesn't really have a zipper or buttons. I think that's what makes it different than a coat. It had a big red hood, so everyone called her, remember the name of the story, Little Red Riding Hood. So the author's already telling us about our characters. So far we have Little Red Riding Hood. She's our main character. She's our protagonist. I mean, she's the good guy in the story. And then there's her mom. And the setting of the story is where it takes place or where it happens. The setting of this one is in the forest. A lot of fairy tales take place in the forest or like in the woods. And I think that's because people used to not really know what was in the woods. So they used to make up stories about, oh, there's a big bad wolf in there. Or maybe it's just to kind of, maybe in the old days, like people would tell their kids a story so that they would be careful about going in the woods in case there really was a wolf in there. I don't know. What do you think would happen in the woods? One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mom asked her to take a basket of food to her grandma. Grandma isn't feeling well, said Mom. I'm sure she'd love to see you. Grandma lived on the other side of the forest, far away. That's going to be a long walk. So Mom drew a map on a piece of paper so Little Red wouldn't get lost. So when you have to go from one place to another place, sometimes you use a map. And here's a map right here. This map shows, and it has X's too. So I think this is Little Red Riding Hood's house, and then this is Grandma's house. I'll come closer so you can see. So it looks like there's like an X at her house because that's where she starts, and then she has to go through the forest to the other X, and that's where she finishes. And that map may help her know how to get there. Sometimes people write down directions, like they'll say, oh, turn right at this tree or go straight on this street, but a map kind of helps you see it. So I think I have a map in the closet. When we're done reading, if I remember, I'll show you. Let's see. And remember, said her mom, don't talk to any strangers along the way. Little Riding Hood said, okay, Mom. So she's giving her advice. Just like in the 3 Little Pigs book, that mom gave the pigs advice before they left. Advice is when you tell someone something that they should do. So in the pig's book, the mom said, watch out for the big bad wolf and work really hard. In this book, Little Red Riding Hood's mom's advice is don't talk to strangers. Has anyone ever told you not to talk to strangers? Yeah, why do you think you shouldn't talk to strangers? Yeah, because sometimes we just don't know if we can trust them. We don't know about them. So sometimes it's safe to make sure you're with an adult before you talk to someone you don't know. I hope she remembers what her mom said. Don't talk to strangers. On the way, Little Red Riding Hood saw some beautiful blue flowers and she started to pick them. Will you help me pick some flowers? La 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 la, pick some blue flowers. My grandma might like these, she thought. As she bent down to pick a handful of flowers, she didn't realize someone else was in the forest. So she's distracted. I mean, she's focused on picking the flowers. She didn't notice someone else is over here. Who do you see? Ooh, I see the big bad wolf. Hello, little girl. Here's the words. Hello, little girl, said the wolf in a deep, growly voice. Ooh, let me try that in a deep, growly voice. Hello, little girl. Little Red Riding Hood jumped with fright. Fright means fear or being afraid. Sometimes when something scares you, you jump a little bit. Can you make a scared face and do a jump? Sometimes when you don't know someone's in the room and you talk, you jump. I do that sometimes. Let's see. It says, a big wolf peered out from behind the trees. Peer means to look out. Can you try that? Get behind the trees and then peer out. Behind, peer out. Oh, you did it. Hi, said Little Red Riding Hood, smiling back at the wolf. She already forgot her mom's warning. Oh, Little Red, you forgot what Mom said? Oh, no. Where are you going? Said the wolf. I'm gonna visit my grandma. She lives on the other side of the forest, Little Red Riding Hood explained. Why is she telling him where she's going? Is that safe? Ah, what a kind girl you are, said the wolf, showing his razor-sharp teeth. Wolves are carnivores. Remember we talked about that in the pig's book? Carnivores eat meat. Yep. Just then, the wolf's tummy gave a loud, rumbly grumble. Do you remember what that means when your tummy's growling? What does that mean? That means you're really hungry. We saw that at the beginning of the Goldilocks book. Her tummy was grumbling because she was hungry right before she ate the porridge. What was that? Said Little Red Riding Hood. Just some thunder over the hills, said the sneaky, hungry wolf as he ran away as fast as he could to Grandma's cottage. Oh boy, did he tell her the truth about his tummy? No, he didn't tell her the truth. I don't know that we can trust him if he's not telling us the truth. I see that he's following the path. I think I can see Grandma's house over there. The illustrator drew it so that we know that's where he's going. I wonder why he's going to Grandma's house. I wonder what his plan is. Do you know? Let's see. Oh no. The hungry wolf peered. Here's that word again, peer. That means look. The hungry wolf peered through Grandma's window. It's a window this time so we can put our hands on the window and look. And he saw the old lady in bed. With a loud howl, "Ow!" Can you howl too? "Ow!" The wolf dashed into the cottage and gobbled up Grandma in one large gulp. I can't believe I just read that. Gobbled up Grandma in one large gulp. Gobble means eat and gulp means swallow. Oh, he ate Grandma? Oh no, wolf. Can't you just get a cheeseburger or something? Oh. Then the wolf put on Grandma's glasses, put on her nightcap and her nightgown, and he pulled up the covers. Now, all he had to do was wait for Little Red Riding Hood to arrive. Why is he wearing her clothes? Oh, okay. Okay, so sometimes people put on other people's clothes to trick someone. They want to assume their identity. That means the wolf wants to look like Grandma, so he can trick Little Red Riding Hood. He's got a disguise. A disguise is something people wear so that people don't know who they are. So he changed how he looks so Little Red doesn't know it's him. Oh boy. I hope she notices that it's different. When Little Red Riding Hood reached the cottage, oh, her grandma lives in a cottage too. Remember, that's a small house? She was surprised to find the front door wide open. That reminds me of another story where the front door was wide open. Do you remember? It was the three bears. When they got home, their front door was open too, and they were confused. There's a lot of home invasion in fairy tales. Grandma, she said, are you there? I'm in the bedroom, replied the wolf in a strange wobbly tone. Wobbly means kind of moving back and forth, so he's like, I'm in the bedroom. That was silly. Little Red Riding Hood went into the bedroom and gasped in surprise when she saw her grandma like this. Gasp like is when you breathe in and you, she's so surprised. She looked sort of different. Yeah, I'd say she looks different. What's different about her? What do you guys want? What's different between the wolf and grandma? Yeah. There's a lot of differences. Grandma must be really sick, thought Little Red Riding Hood. I hope it's not contagious. Contagious means someone else can catch it. Kind of like the germs we have right now outside. Contagious. Well, wow, Grandma, what big eyes you have, she said as she went over to the bed. All the better to see you with, my dear, said the wolf. She looks nervous. She's like, oh, God. Oh, he's still trying to trick her. Little Red does notice that the size of her body parts, like her eyes and her ears, are different. So she's kind of catching on. I hope she realizes. I hope she understands that it's a wolf. Grandma, what big ears you have, she said, moving closer. All the better to hear you with, my dear, said the wolf, grinning. Why? What big teeth do you have, Grandma? The author wrote M before my, like my. Sometimes when we get scared, our voices like stutter. That means they repeat. So that's letting me know, along with this illustration, that she's feeling scared. So the author gave me a clue with the words, and the illustrator gave me a clue with the illustration. She stuttered. That means her voice is repeated. What big teeth you have, Grandma? Uh-oh, these words are in all caps, all capital letters, and it has exclamation points, so I have to say it loud. All the better for eating you with. He revealed himself to be the wolf. Oh no, oh no. Little Red Riding Hood screamed, ah! She tried to escape or run away, but the hungry wolf was so fast. He leaped out of bed, jumped out of bed, and gobbled her up in a gulp. Do you remember what that means? Gobbled, ate, and gulp, swallow. Oh, goodness. Oh, poor Red Riding Hood. A passing woodcutter heard Little Red Riding Hood scream and ran into the cottage. When he saw the wolf's belly, he guessed what had happened. He picked up the wolf and shook him. Shook him, shook him, shook him. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Little Red Riding Hood and Grandma flew out of the wolf's mouth. Luckily, they weren't hurt, but they were very cross. That means angry. This reminds me of another book. I'm thinking about a lot of books today. We read a book about an old lady who swallowed a lot of things. She swallowed a fly, she swallowed leaves, and at the end, everything came out of her mouth. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Grandma, Little Red Riding Hood, and the woodcutter chased the wolf into the forest and over the hill. The embarrassed wolf never came back, and Little Red Riding Hood never spoke to strangers again. The end. So now she kind of learned her lesson. Sometimes fairy tales or stories like this have a lesson. So I think the lesson in this book might be, what do you guys think? Don't visit your grandma? No. Don't pick flowers? No. Maybe something about strangers. Yeah. Try not to talk to strangers, or make sure you have an adult with you before you do that to be safe. And this part where the wolf's running away reminds me of the end of another book. What's another book where the wolf runs away at the end? Yeah, in the Three Little Pigs, the one that we read, the version we read, the wolf had his tail kind of like seared or burned off from the pig's fire, and so he never came back. And in this book it says he also never came back. And then there was another story where somebody ran away at the end and never came back. Do you remember? I think it was Goldilocks. And Goldilocks, at the end, she ran away from the bear's house and she didn't come back. So there's a lot of times in fairy tales, I think at the end it seems like they like to wrap it all up and have it happily ever after, so the bad guy will run away. And not that necessarily Goldilocks was the bad guy, but it's kind of similar. And that shows her little red hood hung up just like that. I like that a lot. That was really fun. Do you guys like that book? I like that too. Hey, I told you I was going to show you a map, so I'm going to try to go find it. Maybe you guys can draw me a map and show me how you get from one place to another, or how you could draw a map of your house and show me, okay, so you could draw like, oh, here's the living room and here's the kitchen and it's connected here, or you could draw me a map of your neighborhood. Let me see if I can find a map. I'll be right back. Let me see. Let's see the map. On the map. Whew, this is a big map. This is a map, whoa, of the United States of America. Let me see. Wow, it's huge. Woo! Really, really big. Wow, and it's a little crumpled up, but we live over here in Indiana. That's where we live, but there's all of these states just in the United States, and then there's even more countries in the world. This part says Mexico. Has anyone ever been to Mexico? Wow. And there's lots of different places. Florida. I'm from Massachusetts, way over here. So when I go see my family, I have to go boop, 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 boop. And then when I come back, boop, 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 boop. Where have you traveled? You could draw me a map of that too. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story, and I really had fun with you. I hope you have a good day. Happy travels. Be careful with strangers, but also